We're joined by a farm known as the greatest name in harness racing, Hanover Shoe Farms of Hanover, Pennsylvania, Dr. Bridgette Jablonsky. Am I pronouncing your name correctly, Dr. Jablonsky?
Yes, you are.
Well, I think we'll just call you Dr. J.
Dr. J is good.
Is that what you get every day?
That's what most people call me, Dr. J.
Okay.
My name's too long.
So your name is pretty high up the roster. When we look at the adverts and hoofbeats or online for Hanover, your name is very near top billing. You're pretty senior in the organization. So tell our viewers today how you got started with the great Hanover Shoe Farms, please, Dr. J.
Okay, so this actually has been my only employer. I graduated veterinary school in 1996. I graduated from the University of Pennsylvania, and I started here the month after I graduated as resident veterinarian. And I did that until 1999. And in 1999, the previous farm manager, Peter Boyce, who basically taught me most of what I know, he retired and I was promoted to farm manager. And I had that position until 2 years ago. And when there was a change in the management of the farm, Russell Williams bought the farm. He became president, and now I'm executive vice president. So it's the only job I've had.
And what would your day-to-day duties kind of entail? It's a big job managing a huge enterprise, but even maybe 3-4 years ago, before you got quite so senior, a lot of horsemen watching this. Do you check that mares are in season? You're a veterinary background, so
I still do that. So
Yeah,
I haven't
yeah.
quite given up the horse part of it. I don't think I would like to sit in the office all day. So we're in the middle of our breeding season now, peak breeding season. So for example, today I collected one of the stallions. It was an off day, just collected one. Then I checked some mares. Then I looked at some yearlings, looked at the new foal that was born last night, and then came to the office, did some paperwork. Now I'm talking to you, and then I'll do some more paperwork. But that's my day. It starts out on the farm with the horses and ends in the office with paperwork.
brilliant, brilliant. Well, I've bred a few mares in my time myself, and it's always been natural covering. Okay, we don't have quite so much artificial insemination over here, although now it's getting very popular. But I've often wondered, if you have a stallion and you're using him on the phantom mare, the dummy
Yes.
mare, do you ever give him a real mare to keep him fresh and keep him interested, or do you not need to?
So we have two stallions that don't care for the phantom mare, so they mount a live mare. They don't breed her, but they mount her, and that keeps them happy. But the vast majority of stallions are very happy on the phantom mare with an artificial vagina. They don't need live cover, I found.
So the two that don't like artificial mare, they mount a mare and somehow or other, by hook or by crook, they capture the semen somehow to give to other mares. Is that it?
Yes.
They deliberately let him miss the target, I suppose.
Yes.
You could say, right? That's very, very interesting. I always feel very sorry for the little Shetland ponies that they use as teasers.
We actually use the colts that we have not sold as teasers because, we can't sell them because of injury or sickness. And we use them as teasers. And I feel a little bad for them too, but they tease the mares every day. They don't seem to be missing out. Like they don't get discouraged or anything. So
I think it's a pretty thankless job.
it is a thankless job. It is a thankless job, but they keep doing it, and they're fed and well taken care of. So I guess they figure they could be worse off, I guess.
Well, we better change the subject. But
Okay.
now, this exercise this weekend, Dr. J, is a huge thank you to the American industry for your help in fostering harness racing in Ireland. As you know, 3 stallions, cattle wash, your own stallion betting line, and of course Heston Blue Chip. We've been given vastly reduced services to these stallions, which are going to help us to upgrade our broodmare band. So I suppose you can comment on the other two if you like, but primarily tell us a bit about this great horse betting line. I've already spoken to Casey Coleman.
So Betting Line as a racehorse was genuinely one of the fastest horses I've ever seen. He could pace a quarter as fast as a horse could, I think. He's not a very big horse, and it was amazing to see how, just how fast he could pace. He was a terrific racehorse. And I think what's so interesting about him to me as a breeder is we stood Western Hanover, who is the sire of his dam. Better's Delight is a great stallion, one of the greatest ever. If you look at Batting Line, he's Better's Delight transposed with Western Hanover. He has the best qualities of both of those horses. And I think the best genetics of those two stallions came out to be Betting Line. He's a beautiful horse. He's Better's Delight and Western Hanover. And he actually this year has what I believe to be one of the top two pacing colts in this country, called the Buckabed Hanover. He's 3 for 3. He's ranked number 2 in the weekly Hambletonian Society poll right now. We expect big things from that colt, and I think that is a sign of the type of horse Betting Line can produce. Interestingly, he looks a lot like Betting Line. He's out of a Western Ideal mare, so there's a bit of Western Hanover blood in him because he's out of a Western Ideal, and Betting Line's out of a Western Hanover, but he looks just like Betting Line.
Would he be inbred to Western Hanover a bit?
His mother's a Western Ideal who's by Western Hanover, and Betting Line's out of a Western Hanover mare.
So he's 3x2 Western Hanover or 3x3?
No, he would be. So on the bottom, it would go Betting Line. Then on the bottom, on the top, it's 3, and on the bottom, it's a 3x3.
Yeah, it's 3x3 to Western Hanover. Yeah, well, that's no bad thing.
No, I think that's where he gets his pure speed from. But I think it's kudos to Betting Line for having such an exceptional crop of colt in his first crop, a really exceptional colt.
A well-known North American harness racing expert told me he thought that Western Hanover was the ultimate racehorse.
Yes, Western Hanover. I was lucky enough to be here for part of Western Hanover's stallion career. And what Western Hanover accomplished in the breeding shed, equals what he did on the racetrack. He was a terrific stallion, and he did it with not the best. He started at a service fee of $4,000, which in this country is a very low service fee. So he accomplished what he accomplished with perhaps not the best book of mares to start with. He was a terrific sire of sires. He was a real breed changer, I think.
His influence is still felt in the British Isles. There's a lot of good stallions over in England and locally in my own country here who go back to Western Hanover.
Sure, and in this country we have Western Ideal. Now Always Be Mickey goes back to Western Hanover. Perfect Sting is by Always Be Mickey. So yeah, his influence is still being seen.
Yeah, always Be Mickey straws are available in Ireland nowadays too.
Yes.
Always. But listen, we'll just keep moving, Dr. J. This is your chance to do a bit of marketing, okay?
Okay.
Now, harness racing tends to live in the shadow of thoroughbred racing a little bit. I've been lucky enough to go to Hanover. I visited Hanover, PA in 1993, and I've seen the beautiful farm there and the scale of the operation. But for those who aren't lucky enough, many acres you've got, many brood mares. Tell our viewers a bit about your program of looking after the old retired brood mares, etc.
Sure. So the farm encompasses about 3,000 acres. The farm owns now about 300 brood mares. We stand 9 active stallions. Cantab Hall was recently retired. And we board mares now, which is something different than we previously did. So we're probably breeding closer to 450 mares right now. The maximum population is about 1,000 horses when all the yearlings and foals are here. And that does include over 100 retired mares. So once a mare is done with her breeding career, she has to be retired due to age, physical issues. Maybe she's just not commercial anymore. she lives out the rest of her life here, and the retired mares here get the same care as the active mares: dewormed, vaccinated, hooves trimmed, fed the same feed, the same hay. They actually live a long time after they're retired, because once you take the stress of having foals off of them,
Yeah.
our oldest one lived to 37. Like, they live a long time once they're retired. So we're happy to do it because they give us so much. They're really, the brood mares are the backbone of the farm. And so we're happy to take care of them when they're done.
I think that's lovely.
Thank you.
Tell me, I can't ask about Hanover Shoe Farms without asking for a quick word on the famous Some Beach Somewhere. Just tell us a bit about his career and his influence on the breed.
In my opinion, and I think my opinion is shared by others that are knowledgeable, he's the greatest pacing stallion ever. And certainly if he would have lived, he would have cemented that. But I think in the short time he was with us, and his effects, his legacy will go on, but he was a true game changer. He changed the breed, his sons, his daughters. I mean, just a different type of horse, a big, strong. If you look at in a field of yearlings, if you looked at the beaches versus the other ones, it was like looking at, major league players versus, little league players. They were precocious. It was an honor. I think he was the best horse that ever looked through a bridle, and it was an honor and a privilege for me to take care of him. And he was a gentle horse, a beautiful horse to work with. And it was one of the saddest days of my life when we lost him. It was a terrible year from when he was diagnosed until we lost him. But his legacy lives on through. We have 3 sons of Sun Beach here now: Captain Treacherous, Stay Hungry, and Poppy Rob Hanover. So we're very, very lucky that his legacy lives on here through 3 of his sons.
Yeah, he's going to be a pillar for the farm, like Albatross, Adios, Star's Pride, all those great stallions years ago. He's going to be a breed influencer, isn't he?
Yeah, I think when you say the name Sun Beach Somewhere 20, 30 years from now, he'll be thought of like those horses. He's a breed changer. There was one time where, there'd be a stake race, Breeders' Crown race. 6 of the starters would be by Sun Beach Somewhere. He dominated. He was magnificent. As good as a racehorse he was, and again, I think he was the best racehorse I ever saw. And I saw Niatros. I think Beach was the best racehorse I ever saw. That's how good he was as a sire. So we definitely wanted sons of his. The only son we have that has foals of racing age is Captain Treacherous, and he's arguably now the top pacing sire in the U.S. So he's doing a pretty good job of filling his dad's shoes. And we're very excited about Stay Hungry. And I'm particularly excited about Poppy Rob Hanover because we bred him, and he looks just like Beach. To me, he's almost Beach reincarnated. So I'm very excited for him.
Well, quite often the great sires stamp their stuff, don't they?
Yes.
Just two last questions before I go. Maybe you'll confirm for our viewers at home the name of the famous stallion behind you.
That is Super Bowl behind me. That's Super Bowl, yes.
Driven by the great Stanley Dancer.
Yes, trained and driven by Stanley Dancer. Great racehorse. And, again, with Speedy Crown, who was in his generation a breed-changing sire. The Speedy Crown Super Bowl cross, that was the magic cross for years. Another great horse, and he really had an effect on the breed. Him, and like I said, we had Albatross here at the same time. They were the pillars of the stallion barn then.
And lastly, a big worry for all breeders nowadays: how's the bottom line? How is Hanover coping with the turmoil in the world, the turmoil in the industry? Like, harness racing throughout the world is struggling in certain markets. It's not as booming as it was in the great days of Roosevelt and the glory days of the Meadowlands. Even in my own country, it's struggling. In Britain, there are several tracks that have closed. Even in Canada, and parts of Pompano, I think, is in danger of closing now. Tell us a bit about how Hanover is going to ride out this storm.
So, we're in it for the long haul. we've changed our business model a little bit. We're breeding a few less yearlings, but higher quality. So we've made a conscious decision to, instead of adding maybe 30 brood mares a year for, $3 million or $1.5 million, we'll take that and maybe we'll add 5 brood mares a year. So the numbers have dropped down. I think the quality has improved. We're adding. I'm very excited about our recent additions to the Stallion Barn, Green Shoe, Tall Dark Stranger, Poppy Rob, Hanover have been our 3 recent additions to the Stallion Barn. We're very happy. We feel like as long as we continue to produce the top product and continue to be the leading breeder, there will always be demand for our horses. I mean, I think we just have to keep breeding them as best as we can, raising them as best as we can, selling them as best as we can, being transparent, raising a good product, standing by our product. And I think, we will get our share of the business.
Well, the saying is, the cream always rises to the top.
Yes, we hope so.
Look, Dr. Bridgette Jablonsky, Dr. J of the greatest name in harness racing, Hanover Shoe Farms. It's a credit to your organisation that you've taken the time to speak to Little Old Ireland, and we thank the syndicate involved with Betting Line for looking out for our industry and helping us with the donation of the biddings to Betting Line.
Thank you, Dan, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend this weekend.
Well, in years to come, we hope to get some of your buddies over here, but for this year, you can watch it on our webcast.
Okay, I will.
Yeah, you watch yourself, see how you did.
Okay.
All right, okay. Listen, pleasure talking to you.
Okay.